Well, hello, Tim, and happy birthday to you. So I've put together somewhat of a game for you, a little like fun thing to do at your party, but it's sort of got a bit miffled, if I were to sort of use a word that's not in the dictionary. But I'll present it to you nonetheless. The idea was that I was at a wedding the other weekend and I pulled a Tim Wilson. The question is, what does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson? This question we proposed, a papusa? We proposed to all of your guests, and they sort of gave a bunch of answers, a lot of them that didn't really make sense, but were quite fun nonetheless. So I shall present these answers to you, what it means to pull a Tim Wilson. I hope you enjoy. There's also a cat that's running around the room that may or may not sort of regale you with some merriment as she jumps on my lap. But without much further ado, what does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson? What does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson? This answer goes a little something like this. For the strip dance and pull-ups answer. I was at a wedding last night and I pulled a Tim Wilson. I found myself talking to a boring lady, so I told her I was training to be an astronaut and that the white trails planes leave in the sky was so that NASA could catch clouds to experiment on. I danced off to find some booze, and on my wanderings I found a group of people having a boogie. I thought to myself, this crowd wants a striptease. So I shouted out and asked for louder music whilst announcing that this was what they'd been waiting for. I woke up the next day next to find I'd slept next to a fallen tree with a guitar about 10 meters from me. What the hell? Another guest responded with, what does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson at a wedding? I made a small gift for the newlyweds, which I carved myself from some redwood that morning. Fearing it wouldn't be enough, I also wrote a song on the train trip over and found an emerging artist from Poland to accompany the music with an interpretive dance number. See what can be achieved when you're not on Facebook? Some more responses. What does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson? I used my giant's hands to competently put out a brush fire. To become king, say shumph like this, start a fire and then climb something but hopefully not fall. Doing a striptease while attempting pull-ups. Another wrote, a very primal dance, probably a bit gay to attract my mate, and then I'd run them up a 10-story spiral flight of stairs to a manky puddle-ridden roof by day. By night, the starlit sky, and what a view! It would start to rain and I'd rip off my shirt and spin wildly until I fell into the arms of my boo, who I would scoop up and gently kiss. Then the heavens would open and we'd dance naked on the rooftop for a while before heading back to the dance floor to get sweaty. I say, what a night. So nice. Another responded, what does it mean to pull a Tim Wilson at a wedding? They responded simply, striptease. A little bit of a theme. We had another respond with, I was at a wedding the other night and I pulled a Tim Wilson. I nicked 3 bottles of red wine from behind the bar, cadged a Raleigh and began an impromptu shanty jazz Billy Joel sing-along in the vestry. I had to sneak away while it was at its giddy peak as I needed to catch a plane to Central America, but it was a grand night. I pulled a Tim Wilson. I was at a wedding the other night and I pulled a Tim Wilson. Firstly, while I was walking to the venue, I walked past a jazz swing band playing on the street. They were great, so I convinced them to play and parade down the aisle just before the bride entered. During the ceremony, I got up and gave an impromptu, ad-libbed but seamless speech of tales and adventures in foreign lands from years gone by, and that kept the audience on the edge of their seats. Much better than the vicar's speech, which was a bit dry. During the singing of the registers, I thought it could do with a bit of something a bit more passionate, so I busted out some Billy Joel on the upright piano in the corner. Sing along, of course. During the party, my suit trousers got ripped and torn down to just short shorts, and the shirt gets ripped off my back, and I somehow acquired a felt fedora, but I'm not sure how. We ended up dancing in the rain, drinking whiskey until the small hours before strolling in the morning sun along the riverside. I was at a wedding the other night, and I did a Tim Wilson. I drank gallons of gin, danced on the chairs, happy slapped the bouncer, and turned up 3 hours later, covered in mud and a naughty, naughty grin. And I think we have one more in here. There is quite a trend that I think we're all a bit excited to come to your wedding to witness some of this. But this is our final answer. I went to a wedding and pulled a Tim Wilson. My dear reader, if you know anything of me by now, it is this. I have spent my every waking hour trying to engineer an opportunity to smooch Mr. T. Wilson ever since meeting him for the first wonderful time. My task has not been without some small successes along the way, but the elusive goal has remained just out of my reach. Like the diving effort I made to dislodge Samson Granger on his way to 129, not out. His ball has many a time brushed my fingertip, leaving me in great pain and disgusted by my peers. Oh, how I've wandered about the taste of sex tangerine. In the beginnings, my attempts were honest and simple. I made compliments. I offered to hold his hand as we crossed the road. I let him borrow my spectacles when we had apparently lost his. This approach led to more confusion than either of us had hoped for. So we rushed to the nearby Greg's Bakery, an admission for another time, dear reader, and we scalded our undergraduate mouths on a bean and sausage pasty before the second half of a film seminar on the cinematography of L'Adri de Bicyclette. It came to me, the answer to my quest. I would pounce in the perfect scenario, a wedding of course, but not without help from another known lubricant, specifically so to Tim for some unknown reason, and commonly used horse tranquilizer available for my good group of 15-year-olds. I know it makes no sense, but you weren't there. The Caisson's house in 2008. I would convince him it was a more of an expensive drug and pretend I had already had loads and was having the best time of my life and whizzing my shits up in everyone's grill and just fantastic. I could let the wording fall naturally into place depending upon his mood. After he was under my spell, I would simply wait for my opportunity, writhe around on a bathroom floor for 2 hours and claim my prize. That is in essence my plan. That is how I am going to kiss Tim Wilson at his own wedding. I hope that was all of them. I think I've gotten them all. If not, I apologize. Sorry. And I hope you guys are having a real nice time over there, Tim. Shortly we'll be in each other's embrace, and hopefully one day I too will pull a Tim Wilson.